Start. Resuming institutional education post-COVID has been one of the most contested topics in policy-making circles the world over. The predominating concern is to strike the right timing between ensuring the physical well-being and safety of the stakeholders, primarily the students, of the teachers, and the imperative to bring down the damage to education to a manageable minimum. With a hiatus of nearly 18 months between the universal closure of educational institutions and the present time, the chorus to open educational institutions and resume instruction in the physical face-to-face mode has justifiably grown louder. Again, initial reports of resurgence of infection in institutions that experimented with an early resumption of physical teaching reveal that the threat of a surge in infections post resumption of offline instruction is real and immediate, largely because the premise of physical distancing and COVID protocols in educational institutions are an impossibility. Next para. The argument in favor of early opening of institutions as a comparison to resumption of most other group activities in daily life is particularly flawed, since the comparison overlooks the fact that institutions, including classrooms, are the only places where participants are required to stay in a generally enclosed space for a continuous stretch of 5 to 6 years every day, and with poor ventilation and overcrowded spaces. Next para. Also, the fact that children and adolescents are still without the protection of vaccination is a consideration too serious to overlook, since COVID data across the world clearly suggests that while the intensity of infection in children might be comparatively less vis-a-vis adults, the threat of several negative outcomes for COVID infected children are not negligible, because an overwhelming number of our children do not go through routine psychological testing to detect hidden comorbidities which may define severity of infection, multi-organ failures, or even death. Next para. At the same time, the damage for education is too serious to overlook, given that around 1.6 billion children have been forced out of institutions, and estimates suggest that around 40% of them may not be able to return due to severity of financial conditions post-COVID, lack of resources, compulsion to work to supplement family incomes, or worse, because of being orphaned by the disease. Next para. While there has been a general acceptance of alternate modes of instruction based on the internet and use of mobile devices, platforms, and applications the world over to lessen the impact of disruption in education, these modes of instruction and evaluation, under the common misnomer of blended learning, are beginning to lose steam and effectiveness, largely due to paucity of innovation, appropriate strategizing, lack of instruction delivery models in the blended mode, redundant and repetitive applications, and shaky internet platforms. Next para. While blended learning is a complicated instruction delivery model requiring proper community level calibration of steps, practices, and training, it has been virtually reduced to a simplistic two steps model of using an online platform for conducting largely one-way instructional delivery through a video conferencing application and a home-based open book examination where the internet is used merely to transfer copied answer to a centrally located modal evaluation center. Next para. The blended learning in practice in most places is merely a skeletal model designed to exhibit curricular continuity rather than effective institution and evaluation. The usual experience of the stakeholders in this alternative practice is that the blended learning in practice has begun to lose steam and is already eroding the interest of students in genuine learning. It is more a core rather than a creative teaching learning pursuit.